Yobro is OHM, and I'm gonna do some reading. This time off the internet. Check me out. We getting something from the Smithsonian today, but first, before I go into it, I'm about to read this sojourn off Wikipedia, right? So it says Smithsonian Institution. The Smithsonian Institution, also known simply as the Smithsonian, is a trust instrumentality of the United States, composed of a group of museums and research centers. It was founded on August 10th, 1846, for the increase and diffusion of knowledge. The institution is named after its founding donor, British scientist James Smithson. It was originally organized as the United States National Museum, but that name ceased to exist as an administrative entity in 1967. Termed the nation's attic for its eclectic holdings of 154 million items, the institution's 19 museums, 21 libraries, 9 research centers, and zoo include historical and architectural landmarks, mostly located in the District of Columbia. Additional facilities are located in Maryland, New York, and Virginia. More than 200 institutions and museums in 45 states, Puerto Rico, and Panama are Smithsonian affiliates. The institution's 30 million annual visitors are admitted without charge. Its annual budget is $1.2 billion, with two-thirds coming from annual federal appropriations. Other funding comes from the institution's endowment, private and corporate contributions, membership dues, and earned retail, concession, and licensing revenue. Institution publications include Smithsonian and Airspace magazines. So we started off, that's just what the Smithsonian is, right? What I want to get into today is from SmithsonianMag.com, Smithsonian Magazine. And the headline is Elusive ultra black fish are cloaked to survive in the deep ocean. Special pigment cells in deep sea fish may provide clues to cancer treatment and stealthy new materials. For the first time, an ultra black skin color or pigmentation that protects 16 varieties of deep sea fishes has been documented. Photograph courtesy of Karen Osborne, Smithsonian. And this article is by Courtney Sexton. It starts with fish have essentially 3 options to survive in the deep sea, where there are few places to hide: be big, be fast, or be invisible. Being big and fast takes a lot of energy. It requires a lot of food. Being invisible, on the other hand, may be a better strategy for escaping predators and moving through the water undetected by prey. In a new study published last week in Current Biology, researchers have discovered an evolutionary tactic that gives some fishes an invisibility cloak. For the first time, an ultra-black skin color or pigmentation that protects 16 varieties of deep-sea fishes has been documented, and studying the efficient survival tactic could provide insight into developing new synthetic camouflage materials, as well as have implications for the understanding and treatment of skin cancers. 99% of habitable space on the planet is in the ocean, and we have only begun to understand the diversity of animals that call the sea home and how they have adapted to unique underwater environments. The mid-ocean, which is not at the bottom nor at the surface, is an especially challenging habitat to survive in. You have no place to rest, you have no place to hide, you have very little food available, and it's really dark, says Karen Osborne, a marine biologist at the Smithsonian's National Museum of Natural History. That's what that anagram was earlier. And one of the authors of the study. There are these weird things that are quite different than most of the other habitats that we know about, even the deep sea floor, and subsequently, most of the animals that live out there look really weird. Enter the ultra-black fishes, several species that can move with stealth in this challenging environment. Osborne and her colleagues have been studying how the skin and surfaces of the fish and other animals help the animals to survive. Some crustaceans, for example, are transparent, but if light shines on them, they can be easily detected. These creatures have developed anti-reflective coatings on their shells to help reduce glare that would give them away to predators. While netting crabs, Osborne and her team happened to pull up a fangtooth fish, which, try as they might, the researchers just couldn't get a good photograph of the creature. Why, wondered Osborne. It turns out the skin of the fish was simply unphotogenic, The tissue was absorbing a whopping 99.5% of the camera's light. Other ultra-black animals, like birds of paradise, some butterflies, beetles, and snakes, carry the light-absorbing pigment with bright, vibrant colors that combine to create an eye-catching display. Against the ultra-black, colors just pop, and the effect works to signal danger warnings to would-be predators and come-hither messages to potential mates. But rather than using the strategy to draw attention to themselves, the ultra-black fish in the Middle Ocean simply disappear. Using microscopy to examine tissues from non-black fishes, black fishes, and the ultra-black fishes, they found that the ultra-black fishes had unique patterns and organizing principles in the pigment cells of their skin. Karen Osborne. The fang-toothed fish was one of 16 species of ultra-black fishes that the researchers have since identified. To be classified as ultra-black, the bar was high. Like the fang-tooth, the researchers were looking for a fish skin that reflected less than 0.5% of light across the visible spectrum. They collected deep-sea fish specimens from 18 different species and used a special black reflectance light probe to measure the angles and the amount of light that were absorbed. They found that 16 of the species qualified. By comparison, man-made black materials reflect 10% of light, and other black fish reflect 2%, giving ultra-black species a six-fold advantage when it comes to hiding. It's a splendid exercise in quantifying blackness, says Peter Herring, marine biologist and author of The Biology of the Deep Ocean, who wasn't part of the study team. Deep-sea fishes are routinely described as inky black or velvet black, so it's nice to have some numerical basis. On an intuitive level, one might think that just 2% reflectance would be good enough, but if you get 6 times improvement, then no doubt an evolutionary advantage could have occurred. After seeing the results of the reflectivity measurements, the researchers dug deeper to find out how the fishes were capable of such expert-level camouflage. Using microscopy to examine tissues from non-black fishes, black fishes, and ultra-black fishes, they found that the ultra-black fishes had unique patterns and organizing principles in the pigments of their skin. Every fish produces melanin. It is the same chemical found in human skin that protects from UV light. Melanin is produced in much the same way across species, but when researchers examined the tissue of ultra-black fish skin, the researchers found that their melanosomes, or the cells that hold the pigment and chemical, were different in 3 important ways. The cells were more densely packed, larger, and capsule-shaped rather than rounded. Because of this structure, photons of light that hit the surface of the fish's skin are absorbed not only by the cell they hit, but the light also gets sucked sideways into the cells next to it. So basically, by changing the shape and size of those granules, says Osborne, instead of letting light that's not immediately absorbed escape and signal their presence, they control it so that the light goes into the layer and side scatters into the granules next to it. To be classified as ultra-black, the bar was high. Like the fang tooth above, the researchers were looking for fish skin that reflected less than 0.5% of light across the visible spectrum. Karen Osborne.
Whatever stereotype you're going to try to put on me about having HIV isn't going to fit.
But given the vastness and darkness of the deep ocean, how much of a difference does it actually make if a fish absorbs 3% of light or 0.5% of light? And where is the light coming from anyway? Because very little sunlight reaches these regions. Any light that is produced is typically coming from another organism, like those that use bioluminescence, and there is a good chance that that organism is looking for a meal. There is a ton of animals down there, but their density is relatively low, which means you probably very rarely meet your lunch. So when you do meet your lunch, you want to make sure that you catch it, says Ron Douglas, a marine biologist at the City University of London who studies visual systems and who was also not part of the study team. Water molecules scatter what little light there is, and so the sight distance for most underwater organisms is not very far, says Douglas. We're talking probably inches, but let's say if you can be seen from 6 feet or 1 foot, that makes a hell of a difference in terms of escaping. Reflective percentages of a couple of percent doesn't seem like a lot, but it's very significant. The researchers investigating this evolutionary survival tool said that the tissue structure has wide applications. Melanin, a type of chemical that can release or absorb free radicals of oxygen that can damage cells, is packed inside melanosomes to keep it contained as it travels to the outer layers of the skin. Typically, these cells are loosely spaced out around the skin. In ultra black fish skin, melanosomes somehow protect the skin without damaging the rest of the creature's cells or organs, as they form dense, continuous layer that might otherwise be indicative of disease. Basically, this fish look like they have melanoma all over their body, says Osborne. Oncology and dermatology researchers want to learn more about how the chemical is managed or controlled in fish skin. In addition to creating a layer of camouflage, melanin can also absorb X-rays, radiation, and heavy metals, which is why ultra-black skin in fishes has piqued the interest of material scientists. According to Osborne, naval researchers, for example, are interested in how this discovery might aid them in developing coatings for submarines and other vessels. If you were to make, let's say, armor that had melanin on the outside, you would be great for night ops, or able to walk through Chernobyl and be safe, she says. Everybody wants to be healthy, Osborne adds, and ultra-black fish have stealthy down to a science. Sorry, everybody wants to be stealthy, Osborne adds, and ultra-black fish have stealthy down to a science. So, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Hold on. Yeah. So, I just want to see how the audio sound real fast. Yeah, and the audio go around real fast. Yeah. Then the audio go real fast. NASCAR, fast car. Yeah. Think a middle right turn. Now there's nothing left. Think I need a light burn. Till there's nothing left. No stress. Smooth sus. So blessed. I'll probably talk about it in another video, but I looked up once, like, how do reptiles have green pigment, and how do birds have, like, blue, not green pigment, how are reptiles color green, how are birds color blue and green, and all these colors, and all that is from melanin. When melanin passes a certain point, depending on the shape of your melanosomes, it forms into aggregates. These aggregates take on different, a varied geometry. All melanin molecules are the same, like, shape, but as they aggregate in different forms and rates, they reflect different colors. And so through melanin, that's how peacocks color themselves. They reflect the primary colors of light and then mix them together. The primary colors of light, again, being cyan, green, and magenta. If you look at pigeon necks, they reflect those colors. If you look at crows, they reflect those colors. Things that are very, very black will reflect the primary colors of light. Yeah. So what you call it? Thanks for tuning in again. Yeah, I'm saying. So OHM has meaning. And talk to y'all soon.